All right. So the Chris Sheridan report slash rumor slash sources that Anthony Davis has 5 teams that he might be interested here when free agency comes up. And I thought Scal brought up a really good point too, that July 1st is when the Pelicans could offer an extension. What happens if he declines it then? They're in a precarious predicament at that point. So great point, especially with the Pelicans coming up tonight, Monday night, the first game of the coming week. And we've got some things to say about that too before we wrap this show, John. But he says there's 5 teams that he's interested in. The Celtics are one of them. They're amongst the crowd of returning to the Pelicans, and then also LeBron's Lakers, the upstart Sixers, who have a way better record than our more than upstart Celtics, which aren't so upstart, and then the Knicks, who find a way onto this list every single time just because they're in New York City.
It's one way to get a lot of press for what you're writing about. It's just put the New York Knicks on every possible rumor. And
yeah,
it works,
it's Jimmy Butler, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis. They're all going to be there by 2020, and then they're going to just wreak havoc on the league.
It's so insane, honestly. It's nuts. In fact, I clicked on I didn't actually read the article. I was just looking at aggregators. They have the Celtics has even money in terms of the odds of being the team that acquires them. Now they have the Lakers at 3-2. So it seems like there's definitely a foot race there between the two of them. And Davis, obviously now having Rich Paul as his agent, LeBron's buddy, there's been a lot of talk that could be a thing. The Pelicans are always 6-1, so clearly they think he's on his way out the door, which is kind of interesting. But in the light of where we are right now, and a question of roles and who's in what role, maybe putting aside for a second who would be in such a trades package for Anthony Davis. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, I think maybe with some of the starry-eyed optimism before the season, there was some choice of, well, do we even want that? Is that
we can't score inside and we can't defend inside? Even
crazy.
Sometimes there's a cleanup guy.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, I think Davis is going to be much more of a Horford type in that, he's going to be on the perimeter. He's going to be, he's not going to be
offensively.
Well, I think both. I mean, I think he's in pick and roll. You're going to be out there. Your big guys are going to be out there probably as much as any, probably more than necessary you might want. But he's up to the challenge. He's up to the task. We've seen that over and over again. And Horford has been historically. Maybe he's just hit a rough patch, but Davis he's doing that everywhere. I mean, he's offensively explosive. But what he also does is he puts your team, to me, what he does is he puts the team, the hierarchy is very clear in terms of who fits in where. And I think he really is a hand in glove fit with Kyrie, because both there is respect there. There's a friendship there that goes back to some USA basketball stuff back in, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But Kyrie certainly has a desire to be a bigger presence, but also not. And they both they wear the crown of fame very uneasily. I don't think that they're very forceful about wanting to be famous, yet they are, and they're great. And I think that there's a good symbiosis between those two, and I think it'd be the perfect fit, as opposed to going to LA and trying to be the heir to the throne of the king. I don't know that would work as well, and I think in Boston, it just seems to be a much better fit for where Davis is, the town he's in, the appreciation that the town has for that type of play. And, again, fitting into something, as we saw this year, when the hierarchy isn't well established and roles aren't well established, it's really hard for players to play well together and understand what their teammates are doing.